Hello and welcome from the Cont4S team. Cont4S, that's Content for Solutions. My name is Björn, and in today's video I will show you the processing of an interface starting in Microsoft Excel and ending in the material master of the SAP system by using our C4S integrator framework and services. Have fun! In the previous video I was presenting the possibilities we provide for ready-to-run SAP AIF-Interfaces and the delivery of these interfaces. And in this video I also presented in the system a ready-to-run SAP AIF-Interface for the material master. We will use exactly this interface in today's video and integrate that in the data flow between an Excel sheet and the material master of the SAP system. I will skip the customizing for this interface so it does not get too technical, but we will see the processing side and the business side to it. This slide is from our presentation and it basically shows all inbound paths into the SAP system. Of course, we also provide with our Cont4S framework possibilities for outbound data out of SAP into a file or some other external source. But this just shows the inbound part. So as you can see, let me just begin with AIF. AIF is split in a blue and a green part. The blue part stands for the SAP framework, the framework that provides the possibility to have a general monitoring and a general error handling. And then we have the green part, which is our service to provide the content of ready-to-run SAP AIF interfaces. As you can see, there are possibilities to go directly into SAP AIF from an external source. And of course, there are also possibilities that we provide to go through our Excel integration. The Excel integration then offers the choice to transfer the data first to SAP AIF and use the AIF framework and our ready-to-run interface to post the data to SAP. It also provides the possibility to skip AIF, so the customer can also go directly to the posting engine and post a transaction, fill a table, or process a BAPI. Now, for today's example, we are starting our trip here in an Excel sheet. This Excel sheet is provided as a template from the Excel integration platform and the customizing we have there. We will fill this Excel template with data for material master and then post it via our Excel integration and via SAP AIF and our ready-to-run interface that we've seen in the previous video as an example through the posting engine into the configured BAPI. I have one last remark regarding this slide, and that is that we also support existing AIF interfaces with our Excel integration. So when you already have SAP AIF interfaces in place, then you can use the Excel integration, of course, also with those interfaces. As I mentioned before, we will not go through all the customizing settings for such an interface. But still there's one thing that I want to show you, which is located in the customizing, and that is the generation of the Excel template for such an interface. The generation is performed by the Cont4S Excel integration. We are now logged into the SAP system and have a look into the customizing of the Excel integration. There is one worksheet category set up for our interface. And this worksheet category will trigger the SAP AIF interface that is mentioned here with the key fields. I do not want to have a deeper look into the system, as I mentioned before, because that will be part of one of the next videos. But still, I wanted to show you the generation of such an Excel template based on our customizing. So it will open up an Excel sheet and create the template if you click on that button. The template consists of basically two areas. One is the header area. The header area shall remain unchanged. It is fixed because this contains the link to the customizing. Below the header section we have the data section. The data section starts with the header lines. They are all marked with an asterisk in the beginning of with the first character here. And they contain information about all the fields that are in the interface. And this is followed then by really the section where we can enter the interface data. As you can see, I chose a setup that has two different structures. One with the material data fields and one with the fields for the material description. This is freely configurable, so you can also choose to have all the fields of your interface in just one line, which might be easier if you manually prepare the data in the Excel sheet. Or you can have up to n different structures set up for the interface, maybe dependent on the structures you can extract from your source system. I also only picked a subset of the fields that are available in the material master and in the ready-to-run SAP-AIF-Interface, which covers all the fields that are available. This subset contains here in the Excel sheet just of all the required fields, of course, and some additional pretty popular fields we have, like the plant, purchasing group, order, valuation class, the price control and the moving average price. So these fields are just a subset I picked for showing this functionality. The only thing we need to do then is save this template and forward it to the people who are responsible for this interface. Of course, this template can be regenerated at any time, but you don't need to. To speed up the process for our video, I prepared an Excel sheet with data for 3 materials. This is the sheet. It goes exactly to the same interface in the customizing of our Excel integration, but we have the data for 3 materials. I separated them to have an easier overview by an empty line. We have material 01 with some data and a price and a weight, and this is then also created in 2 languages. One is German, one is English. We have the material 02, which is just created in German, and we have a material 03, which is created in English. So the only thing we need to do is to start the process for posting by going to add-ins. We have 2 functionalities here. One is to check the data and one is to post. We directly want to post the object. There still is a question whether we really want to continue. I say yes, and then I get a list of all the available SAP systems. I pick up the system that I want to send the data to, and then I need to log into the system. That means all the transactions that I upload with this interface are going through the same authorization checks like I would work online with the system. So I log in, and then the data is transferred to the Excel integration and to SAP-AIF. SAP-AIF then posts the data into the BAPI and the SAP Material Master. What I get back from the system is some kind of a posting log. In the posting log, I only can see that 3 objects were transferred to my interface in AIF. As AIF will post the data into SAP asynchronously, we only get the message that it was transferred correctly. I can save this as a log file if that is needed. So I can create an archive for all of my interface files. So that's everything we need to do to process this interface. We will now have a look at the SAP system and look at the results on one side in the SAP-AIF, where we can look at the monitoring, and also, of course, we will have a look at the material master and the materials that were created. So let's get back to the SAP system. We go back from the customizing into the application, and then we start a transaction from SAP. That is a transaction you can use for the monitoring. You can use it by looking at the results of just one interface, or you can also have a look, of course, at all the interfaces that were processed in your system. We will only have a look at the interface that is relevant for our example, and maybe I also look only at the data that we prepared for today, and in addition I could restrict it to just the data that we posted. So I restrict the time also, and then we need to be careful to select all. The standard selection screen will only show you the transactions that had an error. But if you click on select all, it will show you in the log all the transactions that were prepared for this interface. So we can see we have 3 transactions in our interface. That's basically what we expected. And lucky enough, we see that all the transactions were successfully posted in the SAP system. So if I look at one of the messages, I can see this one is for AIF demo mat 02 that has been created. Demo mat 3 and also 01. So this is the way you can look at the data in the AIF system. Now that we have had a look at the data here in AIF, we can continue and look into the material master. So I go to transaction MM03, which is display of the material master. And here we go to AIF**, which is basically, if I delete the language, in the search help, we should see exactly the data sets that we prepared in our Excel sheet. So we have one material, that's this dataset and this dataset for 01, which was created with a German text and an English text. Then we have the other materials, 02, that were just created with a German text, and 03 with an English text. We can now have a look at one of the examples. So I choose the material 01 in English. And if we look at the master data, we can have a look in the accounting and maybe also in MOP. I enter the plant, which is 001. And then we see here the text, or English text, and we see the base unit of measure. If we compare that to our Excel sheet and the purchasing group 003, we see in our Excel sheet, here we have this line. That's in plant 001, the purchasing group. And if we continue, for example, to the accounting part, we see the valuation class, price control, and the moving price, and the price unit. Also fields that were prepared here in the Excel sheet and transferred into the creation of this material master. That was all for today. We have seen how easy it is to create an Excel template with the Cont4S Excel integration platform. We successfully transferred the information from the Excel sheet via SAP-AIF and the Cont4S ready to run AIF-Interface into the material master. We would be glad if you are interested to discuss your interface and conversion requirements with us. You can find our contact data in the details of the video and of course on our homepage. See you soon!